Dawn broke over New Harmony with the usual pale light filtering through thin dust clouds. The colony had stood on this dry frontier world for 80 years, scratching life from red soil and deep isotope veins. People woke early, as always. Farmers checked irrigation lines, miners loaded gear into trucks, children ran to the single school building with its cracked walls. That morning, everything changed. Orbital alarms screamed across every screen in the settlement. Governor Elena Vasquez stood in the command shack, rubbing sleep from her eyes, when the duty officer pointed at the main display. A massive freighter hung in low orbit, unmarked and silent. No hail came, no transponder code appeared. The ship simply opened its bays and released wave after wave of small pods. Pods fell like silver rain. They streaked through the sky, leaving white trails, then slammed into the central plateau, soft enough not to crater, but hard enough to shake houses. From the glare, security teams scrambled into trucks racing toward the drop zone. Families gathered on rooftops, watching in stunned quiet. Elena grabbed her coat and joined the first response group. The drive took 20 minutes over rough tracks. Dust swirled behind them. When they reached the landing field, hundreds of pods lay scattered in neat rows. Each one stood upright, steam rising from cooling metal. Teams approached with caution. One by one the pods hissed open, revealing soft inner cradles. Inside every cradle rested an infant. Tiny bodies wrapped in thin thermal blankets, skin in shades of blue, green, gold, gray. Some had extra limbs, some had delicate frills along their necks. Others had soft glowing patches that pulsed with faint light. All slept peacefully, or stared up with wide, curious eyes. 8,000 of them, exactly 8,000. Elena knelt beside the nearest pod. A small creature with 6 delicate fingers reached out and gripped her thumb, and, surprisingly strong. She looked around. Medics moved from cradle to cradle, checking vitals. Engineers scanned for traps or toxins. Nothing dangerous appeared. No explosives, no pathogens, just babies. A hologram flickered to life above the central cluster of pods. The image showed a tall Caliph envoy, skin like polished obsidian, eyes narrow and cold. The voice spoke in crisp standard. "Human barbarians, behold the refuse your mongrel presence inspires across civilized space. We gift you our genetic discards as mockery of your claimed compassion. Dispose of them as you will, or choke on your own hypocrisy. Do not return them. We have no use for failure." The message looped twice, then vanished. Silence settled over the plateau, broken only by soft baby cries starting to rise. Elena stood slowly. Her face showed no panic, only hard thought. She turned to her security chief. "Keep order. No one touches anything without my say-so. Call every doctor, nurse, and midwife we have. From every farm and mine. We move them to shelter now." Trucks rolled in, one after another. People worked fast, wrapping infants in spare blankets, carrying them in careful arms. Older children helped too, holding bottles, offering fingers to grasp. The colony had never seen so many tiny lives at once. By midday, the central warehouse became the first big nursery. Rows of crates turned into cribs. Old blankets became padding. Lights strung from beams kept the space warm. Feeding stations formed along the walls. Women and men sat side by side, learning to hold strange shapes, learning which species liked slow rocking and which preferred gentle humming. Elena walked the lines, watching faces. She saw fear in some eyes, exhaustion in others. But she also saw something else. Determination. A quiet, stubborn refusal to let these children become casualties of someone else's game. Evening came. Food stores stretched thin already, now stretched further. Emergency rations opened. Soup kitchens ran. Non-stop. Volunteers carried bowls to families who took in 1 or 2 infants. Overnight stays became common. Houses that once held 3 people now held 5 or 6. In the command shack late that night, Elena met with her council. The room smelled of coffee and sweat. Maps and screens glowed around them. "We cannot send them back. The Caliph made that clear," one advisor said. "We cannot kill them," another added, voice shaking. "That would prove every word they spoke about us." "Then we raise them," Elena said simply. "We feed them, we teach them, we love them. If the galaxy wants to watch us fail, let them watch us succeed instead." The council stared. Some nodded slowly, others looked doubtful, but no one argued. Outside, the wind carried faint cries across the plateau. 8,000 small voices rising together, not in despair, but in simple need. New Harmony listened and answered. Days blurred into weeks. Work never stopped. Engineers built more incubators from spare parts. Farmers planted extra fields, pulling water from deeper wells. Teachers turned lessons into songs that soothed multiple species at once. Doctors studied alien biology late into the night, comparing notes, sharing discoveries. One medic found that human skin contact lowered stress in 34 species, far better than any machine the Caliph used. Another noticed that simple play reduced crying faster than standard protocols. A third watched in wonder as a baby once labeled replication error reached for a rattle and laughed, a bright, clear sound that echoed through the nursery. Elena visited every day. She held infants, talked to volunteers, listened to worries. She wrote messages to distant human worlds asking for aid, but never begging. She refused to let pride fall. Rumors spread through the colony, at first in whispers, then louder. People began to call the children the Harmony 8000. The name stuck. It felt right. One evening Elena stood on the plateau, looking at the empty pods now stacked neatly for scrap. Metal gleamed under starlight. She thought of the Caliph envoy and his cold words. She thought of the tiny hand that had gripped her thumb weeks ago. "They meant this as an insult," she murmured to the night air. "But insults only hurt when you let them." She turned back toward the lights of the settlement. Somewhere a lullaby drifted on the breeze. Human words mixed with alien sounds, blending into something new. New Harmony kept working, one day at a time, one child at a time. The galaxy waited to see humans break. Humans refused to break. Weeks passed fast on New Harmony. The first shock turned into steady hard work. Every house, every shed, every empty storage room became a place for babies. Cribs lined walls, made from spare wood and old shipping crates. Soft lights hung from ceilings to keep nights gentle. Volunteers worked in shifts around the clock. Some fed, some changed wraps, some sang quiet songs that mixed human words with strange new sounds. Food stayed tight. The colony stretched every grain, every drop of milk. Powdered formula came from emergency stores, mixed careful to match different needs. Farmers worked longer hours, planting quick crops, pulling extra water from wells that ran low. Engineers built heaters from mining parts, so tiny bodies stayed warm. Medics learned fast. One day a baby with blue skin and tiny wings stopped breathing slow. A human nurse pressed gentle on its chest, hummed low and steady. The wings fluttered. The baby breathed again. Words spread quick. Simple human touch worked better than cold. Machines. Elena walked the nurseries every morning. She stopped at each row, spoke soft words to volunteers, asked about sleep, asked about smiles. She carried one infant at a time, different kinds each day, a small green one with extra eyes, a golden one with soft fur, a gray one with delicate tentacles. All reached for her, all gripped tight. She felt their warmth and knew the Caliph had made a big mistake. One afternoon, a young medic named Raj ran into the command shack. His face looked shocked but happy. He held a datapad. Elena looked up from reports. "What is it?" she asked. "The rejects are not rejects," Raj said fast. "We ran more tests. The tags call them defects, but the biology says different. These children carry traits the Caliph tried to remove. Strength in bones, faster healing, better lungs. Some have minds that learn quick. We thought they were broken. They are just different. Different in ways the Concord hates. Elena leaned forward. Show me. Raj pulled up scans. Lines and colors danced on the screen. One species had genes for fast muscle repair, another for sharp senses, a third for deep empathy. The Caliph called these errors. Humans called them gifts. Raj pointed to a chart. Stress levels drop when humans hold them. Skin contact cuts hormone spikes by half. No Caliph nursery ever got numbers this good. Elena stared at the data. She thought of the cold hologram message. She thought of the envoy who called these lives refuse. A small laugh escaped her. Not mocking, just surprised. They tried to shame us, she said slow. They gave us their future by mistake. Word moved quiet through trusted channels. No big broadcasts yet, just messages to human scientists on other worlds. Data packets slipped out, hidden in trade logs. Rogue biologists answered fast. They studied the numbers. They sent questions. They sent hope. One expert wrote back simple words. Your care unlocks what their system locks away. Keep going. Inside the colony, people changed too. Argued about small things now, worked as teams. Old people who felt useless found purpose, rocking infants, telling stories. Young ones learned patience, holding bottles steady. A girl named Mira, only 12 years old, became expert at soothing the winged ones. She sang soft tunes, and their wings stopped trembling. She called them her sky babies. Nights brought quiet moments. Elena sat sometimes in the big nursery. Lights dimmed low. Babies slept in rows. Soft breaths filled the air. One night, a tiny creature with glowing patches opened its eyes. It looked straight at her. The glow pulsed slow like a heartbeat. Elena reached out. The baby wrapped a small limb around her finger. It did not cry. It just held on. She whispered thank you, not to the baby, to the night, to the stubborn humans who refused to quit, to the strange twist that turned poison into promise. Months moved forward. Seasons shifted on New Harmony. Dust storms came and went. Crops grew taller. Water pumps worked harder. 8,000 grew too. Some crawled, some cooed, some grabbed toys with surprising strength. Medics watched amazed as once fragile bodies filled out. Skin colors brightened, eyes grew sharp, tiny hands learned to clap. One evening, a group of volunteers gathered in the main hall. They ate simple food, shared stories. Someone started a song. Others joined. The room filled with voices, human words, alien sounds blending together. It sounded messy. It sounded alive. Elena stood at the door watching. She saw tired faces, but no despair. She saw hands that once held mining tools, now held tiny lives. She saw children who once played alone, now played with new brothers and sisters from stars away. Raj found her later. He carried fresh data. This time his smile looked bigger. The oldest ones are hitting milestones way ahead. Some speak already. 2 words, 3 words, mix of languages. We think the mix helps them. The human voice, the human touch. It wakes parts the Caliph never understood. Nodded slow. Then we keep giving it. We keep showing them, love is not weakness, love is power. Outside the colony, lights glowed against dark sky. Stars watched quiet. The Caliph waited far away, thinking humans would beg or break. New Harmony answered with full cribs, with steady hands, with hearts too big to crush. They fed the children. They taught the children. They loved the children. And the children answered back with grips that grew stronger, with eyes that learned fast, with small laughs that echoed farther each day. The insults still hung in the air, but it started to feel small against the weight of 8,000 beating hearts. 3 months after the drop, New Harmony stood stronger than before. The dust still blew across the plateau, but now it carried sounds of life. 8,000 small voices mixed with human laughter. The nurseries had grown into a network of warm buildings, connected by covered paths to keep out wind and sand. Cribs lined every wall. Toys made from scrap metal and soft cloth filled corners. Volunteers moved with sure steps, no longer stumbling over strange limbs or colors. Elena Vasquez watched the changes every day. She saw babies who once cried weak, now sit up strong. She saw tiny hands reach for faces with trust. She saw eyes bright with curiosity instead of fear. The Harmony 8000 had started to grow into something real, something alive, something impossible according to Calith rules. One morning, Elena gathered her closest advisors in the command shack. The room felt crowded with hope. Raj, the medic, stood at a screen showing fresh data. The children hit every milestone early. Language burst out in bursts of mixed words. Human phrases twisted with alien clicks and hums. Some spoke 4 words by age 3 months. Others rolled over, crawled, pulled themselves up faster than any record. "We have proof," Elena said, quiet but firm. The Caliph threw away perfection. They called strength a flaw. They called empathy a defect. We turned their trash into treasure. Now the galaxy needs to know. The council nodded. No one argued anymore. Doubt had burned away in sleepless nights and shared meals. They planned carefully. No begging, no anger, just truth and gratitude. That afternoon, Elena walked to the central plaza. The wide-open space, once used for markets, now held rows of cribs under bright canopies. Sunlight filtered soft through fabric. Babies rested, played, reached for hanging toys. Hundreds of people gathered. Families, friends, workers, farmers, miners, all stood silent, waiting. Older children held signs painted with simple words. "Thank you." A single microphone stood ready. No fancy lights, no guards, just her and the children. She lifted one infant, a small golden one with fur that shimmered. It cooed and wrapped tiny arms around her neck. She held it close, then spoke, "To the Caliph Concord and all who witnessed your gesture, thank you. Thank you for trusting us with these children. Thank you for believing we would do anything less than love them. Thank you for the greatest gift any species has ever given another. We have named them the Harmony 8000. They are ours now, legally adopted under Terran law, protected under the Frontier Compact, and cherished beyond measure. Should you ever wish to meet them when they are grown strong, brilliant, and very much alive, you will need only knock politely. Until then, gratitude cards are en route, one for each child, handwritten." Her voice carried clear across the plaza and out through every comm channel. Open broadcast, no encryption, no secrets. The words went to every human world. Beyond neutral relays caught them, passed them to alien networks. The galaxy listened. Behind Elena, a group of teenagers stepped forward. They carried a choir of young voices, human songs mixed with new lullabies learned from the babies. The melody rose simple and warm. It wrapped around the crowd like a blanket. Babies quieted. Some waved small limbs. Others glowed or pulsed in rhythm. The sound filled the air, pure and strong. When the song ended, people cheered. Not loud shouts, soft claps, tears on many faces, smiles on more. Elena handed the golden infant to a volunteer, then turned back to the crowd. "We did not ask for this gift," she said, "but we accept it with open hearts. Let the stars see what happens when you give humans something to love." The broadcast ended. The plaza emptied slow. People returned to work, but lighter, steps surer, faces brighter. Days later, the first cards launched. Small envelopes, real paper, real ink, folded careful. Each card held a tiny handprint or tentacle, print, or claw mark pressed in safe ink. Below it, one line. "Thank you for giving me to the humans." Written by volunteers but signed in the name of each child. Couriers took them. Fast ships jumped toward Caliph space. Thousands of cards, millions of tiny messages. Humanity sent paper across light years. Not weapons, not demands, just thanks. Word spread quick. Rogue traders carried copies of the broadcast. Smugglers whispered the story in dark bars. Diplomats on neutral worlds replayed the choir song in private meetings. Neutral species watched curious. Some laughed at first, then grew quiet. The Caliph had meant to shame. Instead, they sparked wonder. In New Harmony, life kept moving. Babies grew faster now. Crawling turned to toddling. First steps happened every day. Tiny feet pattered across floors. Mixed voices called Mama or Papa, or new words no one had heard before. One child, a blue one with wings, flapped once, twice, then lifted a handspan off the ground. A cheer rose. Medics noted it down. Another gift unlocked. Elena received messages back, not from Caliph, not yet, from human colonies far away, ships loaded with supplies, formula, fabric, medicine, toys. Volunteers asked to come, help us raise them, they said. We want to be part of this. Other worlds sent data on cross-species care. Shared knowledge flowed like water. One night, Elena sat outside under stars. The wind felt softer now. She held a single card left over from the batch. A small gray infant with tentacles had left a perfect swirl print. She traced it with her finger. "Thank you," she whispered, "not to the Caliph, to the child, to every child who breathed because humans said yes." The insults still echoed in distant halls, but here on New Harmony, it faded against louder sounds. Laughter, cries of joy, songs in many tongues. The Harmony 8000 did not know scorn. They knew arms that held them, voices that soothed them, milk that filled bellies, love that never asked for perfection. The galaxy waited. Collapse, some expected war. None expected this. Quiet, stubborn kindness that refused to bend. New Harmony answered the stars with full hearts and open hands. And the cards kept flying. The galaxy did not stay quiet after the broadcast, and the cards flew out. Caliph Space received the first shipments, weeks later. Small boxes arrived at elite homes, at government offices, at quiet outposts on border worlds. Each box held stacks of paper cards, real ink, real handprints from tiny fingers, tentacles, claws. Each card said the same thing: "Thank you for giving me to the humans." Simple words that cut deep. At first the Caliph leaders laughed, cold, sharp laughs. They called it human trickery. They called it weakness. They ordered the cards burned in public fires to show strength. But the fires never happened enough. Lower workers saved them, hid them, passed them in secret. Halls that once echoed with proud speeches now whispered questions. If the rejects thrive, what does that say about our way? Cracks appeared, slow but sure. Elite families who lost children to the old culling programs requested secret scans. They wanted proof the Harmony 8000 were weak. Opposite, the children grew tall, strong, smart. Minds sharp like blades. Bodies tough against hard conditions. Hearts open in ways Caliph adults never learned. One family saw a scan of their own discarded son, now 5 years old, speaking 6 languages, solving hard math problems, comforting a crying nurse. The father stared at the image for hours, then locked himself in his room. Underground movements started, small at first. Groups of lower caste workers met in dark corners. They shared stories. They shared data smuggled from New Harmony. They asked why the Concord threw away what humans raised to greatness, why purity mattered more than life. Quiet pamphlets spread hand to hand. Words like, "Maybe the humans are right. Maybe love fixes what rules break." Neutral species watched close. Traders carried tales from port to port. Diplomats met in secret rooms. Some asked New Harmony for more information. Some asked to adopt the next batch if another came. The Caliph tried to stop it. They threatened trade cuts. Humanity answered calm. We have what you need. The isotopes for your old reactors. Send us more children if you want. Or send nothing. We keep what we have. The sanctions came fast. Ships turned away. Credits frozen. Borders tightened. New Harmony felt the pinch but did not bend. Farmers found new ways to grow food. Engineers fixed machines with less parts. Families shared more. Volunteers worked longer. The children helped too. Toddlers carried small buckets. Older ones sorted clothes, folded blankets. Their small hands made big differences. The Harmony 8000 changed fastest. By age 5, many walked, ran, spoke full sentences. Some built simple machines from toys. Some sang songs no one taught them. Some calmed adults twice their size with a touch or a word. A blue-winged girl named Lyra lifted off the ground one day, flew short loops above the plaza. People cheered. She landed soft, hugged the nearest volunteer. The gift once called defect, now called Stories leaked out. Rogue reporters slipped footage to neutral networks. Clips showed children laughing, playing, learning. No fear, no pain. Just life. The galaxy saw and wondered. The Caliph saw and worried. Their perfect order started to shake. Workers asked questions. Soldiers hesitated. Leaders argued behind closed doors. One day, a Caliph ship appeared in orbit. No weapons, no threats, just a quiet request to talk. Elena met the envoy in the central hall. No guards, no show. The envoy, tall and dark, stood stiff. He spoke low. We wish to see one child, just one, to confirm. Elena brought Lyra. The girl walked in fearless, wings folded neat. She looked up at the tall figure and smiled. Hello, she said clear. The envoy froze. His hand reached out slow. Lyra took it, small fingers against hard skin. He stared down. Something moved in his eyes. Not anger, not scorn. Something softer. He left soon after. No words of thanks, no promises, but the ship departed quiet. No sanctions followed that week. Trade talks started slow. Careful words replaced threats. On New Harmony, the children kept growing. They learned human history. They learned alien stars. They learned kindness above all. One boy with golden fur, named Kai, drew pictures of the Caliph homeworld from memory. He never saw it, but he dreamed it. He gave the drawings to Elena. She sent copies back with traders. Let them see what they missed. Cards became treasures. People traded them like rare gems. Collectors paid high prices for handprints with special marks. One card from a child who spoke first sold for enough to buy a new well. Black markets grew full of copies. Real ones stayed with families who raised the children. Years moved forward. Seasons turned. The Harmony 8000 reached 10 years old. Tall, strong, brilliant minds that mixed human stubbornness with alien gifts. They solved problems adults could not. They built bridges between species with words and smiles. Became family. The Caliph felt the shift. Their nurseries emptied faster. Families hid pregnancies. They asked for human methods, human care. The Concord fought change, but change came anyway. Slow, steady, unstoppable. Elena stood on the plateau one evening, looking at lights below. Houses full, nurseries quiet now with older children in schools, workshops busy with young hands. She thought of the first pods, the cold message, the tiny grips. She smiled small. They meant to insult us, she said to the wind. Instead, they gave us their best. The insult turned legend. People told the story on 1,000 worlds. Never give humans something to love. They will love it back harder than you can imagine. New Harmony grew brighter. The children grew taller. The cards kept coming back, echoes of thanks that refused to die. The reversal had begun. Decades passed, quiet but strong on New Harmony. The red dust still covered the plateau, but now roads ran smooth between tall buildings. Schools stretched wide, with bright classrooms filled with voices from many worlds. The Harmony 8000 grew into adults, tall, brilliant, full of life. They carried human stubbornness mixed with gifts the Caliph once called flaws. Their eyes saw far, their hands built sure, their hearts stayed open wide. The first group reached full age, 20 standard years. They stood ready not as soldiers, not as beggars, but as something new. Ambassadors of a place that turned insult into family. Elena Vasquez, now old with silver hair and steady eyes, watched them prepare. She sat in the same command shack, now a quiet office lined with pictures of the children from pods to grown. She smiled, small, remembering tiny grips and first steps. "We go to knock politely," one of them said. Lyra, now tall with wings that folded neat and strong, she spoke calm. The mix of languages that felt natural. Now Kai stood beside her, golden fur gleaming. He held a small case full of new cards, 8,000 exactly, one from each grown child. The delegation boarded a simple ship. No weapons, no shields, just people and purpose. The journey took months through quiet space. They passed neutral stations where traders watched in wonder. They passed Caliph outposts where guards stared but did not stop. No one fired, no one blocked. The message had spread too far. Never insult a human by giving them something to love. They landed soft on the Caliph homeworld. A vast gray city rose around them, towers sharp and cold, air thick with order. The delegation stepped out onto a wide plaza. Guards waited stiff but silent. A path opened leading to the great hall, where elders sat in high seats, faces like polished stone, eyes narrow with old pride. Lyra walked forward first. She carried no fear, she carried truth. The elders watched silent as the group approached. 1,000 adults, young and strong, skin in every shade, limbs in every form, wings, fur, scales, tentacles, glowing patches. All stood together. One people, one family. Lyra opened the case. She lifted the first card, real paper, real ink. A perfect handprint pressed long ago, now matched by the grown hand that made it. She spoke clear. "Thank you for the life you thought worthless. We are proof you are wrong. We forgive you. We invite you to try again, this time with love instead of scorn. Your children raised human." One by one they stepped forward. Each placed a card on the low table in front of the elders. Each card carried the same words. "Thank you for the life you thought worthless. We are proof you were wrong. We forgive you. We invite you to try again, this time with love instead of scorn. Your children, raised human." The hall stayed quiet, except for soft sounds of cards placed down. 8,000 times the same message. 8,000 echoes of a gift once thrown away. Hands trembled. One old face cracked. A single tear fell, shining on dark skin. Another elder reached out slow, touched a card as if it might burn, then pulled back, gentle. A young Caliph aide stepped from the shadows. He looked at the delegation, eyes wide. He whispered low, "We have watched your world grow. We have seen the children. We have questioned our own ways. Many of us want change. We want what you have." Lyra nodded. "We know. We waited for this day, not to conquer, not to shame, to offer a hand." The elders spoke at last. One voice rose, old and rough. "You defied our judgment. You kept what we discarded. You turned weakness into strength." Kai answered calm, "No, we turned your judgment into our truth. You gave us life. We gave it meaning." Silence returned. Then an elder stood. He walked down the steps slow. He stopped in front of Lyra. He looked at her wings, at her strong frame, at her open eyes. He bowed low, not deep, not showy, just honest. The hall gasped soft, said simple, The words hung heavy. We ask to learn. The delegation stayed days. They walked the gray streets. They met families who hid their young. They shared stories. They showed hollow images of new harmony, full of laughter, full of life. Some Caliph listened, others turned away, but seeds planted slow. When the ship left, it carried more than it brought. Gifts from the homeworld, books of old knowledge, samples of rare elements, promises quiet but real. The delegation returned home heroes, not in war, but in peace. Elena waited on the landing field. Wind tugged her coat. She saw Lyra step down first, saw the smile, saw the tired but bright eyes. Elena walked forward, arms open. Lyra hugged her tight. Others joined. The circle grew big, warm, strong. "You did it," Elena whispered. "We did it together," Lyra answered. Years later the change spread. The Caliph Concord softened rules. Nurseries opened to new ways. Families kept their young. Lower castes rose. Higher ones listened. Trade flowed. Free ships from Caliph space docked at New Harmony, carrying visitors, not invaders, carrying hope. The Harmony 8000 became legend. Parents told children the story across stars. Never give humans something to love. They will love it back harder than you can imagine. They will forgive. They will invite. They will change worlds with open hands. On quiet nights, Elena sat outside under the same stars. She looked at the lights below. Houses full, schools busy, workshops alive. She thought of pods that fell like rain. She thought of cards that flew like birds. She thought of 8,000 hearts that beat because humans said yes. She smiled to the night. "Thank you," she said. "Not to the Caliph, not to the stars. To every small hand that once reached out. To every voice that answered back." New Harmony stood as proof. Kindness wins when nothing else can. Stubborn love outlasts cold rules. The galaxy learns slow but sure. And somewhere in the quiet between stars, the whisper lived on. Peace. Never insult a human by giving them something to love. P.